Here's a tweet. Remember when you were growing up and your parents didn't always seem to understand your culture? Perhaps they thought you were falling in with the wrong crowd. We fear the unknown. We envision worst-case scenarios in order to survive. Cultures countered. A biological imperative? So, remember when you were growing up and your parents didn't always seem to understand your culture? I'm sure many of you out there, in fact, some of you may be younger, and some of you may be older. I'm not sure what the demographics are for this channel. There isn't really a massive audience, but I do hope that younger people can observe the channel, get something out of it, enjoy the humor elements, the entertainment elements, if not the politics and the philosophy, psychology, and satire. A lot of earlier videos have more of the psychology and philosophy in them. So, remember when you were growing up and your parents didn't always seem to understand your culture? Of course! Some parents kind of get it. Like, you know, my father and mother grew up with rock and roll in the 1970s and the 1960s and ultimately the 80s and so on. My father played in a band. So they never restricted me from viewing, you know, listening to heavy metal music or satanic music. I did grow up in a Protestant household, but they never really restricted that kind of stuff. There was some other stuff, of course, like I've probably told the story before about how my mother and father were slow to let me play the game Heretic, which was a Doom clone by Raven Software back in '94. Because it was okay to kill demons, because that fit with our culture, but once you start to get into sort of the heresy and all this stuff, they go, okay, well maybe a 10-year-old shouldn't be, especially in this Christian household, shouldn't be doing that. But we've seen it with everything. They don't understand the culture of things like TikTok, of course. The culture of the internet, the culture of, you know, gaming, the culture of rave culture, and, you know, anime fanboy and fangirl culture, and all this stuff. There's all these things your parents just look at and go, that boy, he's a strange one. That girl, she's weird. That happens. I think that the parents, the millennial parents, the parents that kind of grew up in the 80s and 90s and actually experienced the birth of the internet and all these things, I think that we have a different perspective on it. I think like some of this might be antiquated and may be more for a 36-year-old talking about parents, because, you know, but we do still have parents that are very good about making sure you don't fall in with the wrong crowd. They're careful to make sure you're not viewing the wrong materials, the wrong movies, the wrong TV shows. There is parental control for a reason. They might have thought that you were going down a dark path. And that's because we fear the unknown. The parents can navigate what they do. Oh, you know, I grew up with Super Mario Brothers. I had it as a child. You know, now we are the millennial generation, Generation X. We can certainly look at things that, you know, my parents were very good about that with me, but my mother's entire family was like, why are you letting them play video games? Why are you letting people, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that with me? Because I was the only kid in the family for 4 years. Big family, only baby in the family. So they were sort of armchair parenting, backseat parenting Jeff a little bit, and saying, like, why does he have a computer at 3 years old? I had an Apple II at 3. But this is a little later. Usually teen years, they'll say, well, you might have been falling in with the wrong crowd. I mean, I certainly had a couple of friends that were less than savory. My brother, we have a friend that was a drug dealer, and people were doing things, sexual, I'll say sexual things. And things were happening that my brother actually had to pull away from that that side of things a little bit and find new friends because he was kind of falling in with the wrong crowd, and it's good to get out. But parents will, of course, fear the unknown. If they don't know what's going on, they just, if they care, because you have good parents, I hope you do. We fear the unknown. We envision worst case scenarios in order to survive. Cultures countered a biological imperative. So, hey, maybe your parents are saying, no, you can't get on that Twitter site. It's full of degenerates, and I could vouch for that. I could vouch for that. But in that worst case scenario, we might be talking about it on this high level. Oh, we're all domesticated. We're living in suburbia. We're living in wherever we are in the country. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. We're not living in the woods. We're not fighting off Mother Nature itself. We have the privilege. We have the beautiful privilege of not having to deal with these constant life or death situations. But we still have maintained that lizard brain mentality, that and there's a little bit of mammal in there too, but I think mostly associated with lizard brain mentality of, you know, me first, protect the tribe, protect the person, protect the family, protect me, lizard brain, survivalistic. So we actually envision the worst case scenario in order to survive. That's what parents are doing. They're saying, hey, you know, we can't even take the risk. It's our son, it's our daughter. It's something between a son and a daughter. It's someone in between there. They might do that. Just to make sure that we're not taking a massive risk. So that mechanism is still in play. Cultures get countered. We see that when, you know, one culture might be different from what the parents understand. They see more danger, more unknown, more danger. And it's a biological imperative, potentially, to just protect the children, protect the lifeblood, protect your future, the future of your group, your tribe, your people, your family. And it is predicated on a fear of the unknown. So I always tell parents, if you feel like you're being a little bit too much of a worry ward, if you feel like you're restricting your child too much, study what they're looking at. Look, get involved. I know we don't have much time, and I have another tweet coming up in a second about time, but we still have to ask the questions, we have to do the digging, we have to do the research, and reduce, mitigate, minimize the unknown. Otherwise, we're just in the dark.